So if this is not your first time here, then you know that I am doing the 12 steps for everyone. And the 12 steps started in 1935. The original 12 steps were 12 steps written for alcoholics by alcoholics. And so the third step in Alcoholics Anonymous is made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. And then, as I have said, I was going to originally use this book, The 12 Steps for Everyone. And the third step there says, we decide to ask for help from resources we could count on implicitly, which for some people may include a deity, a faith, or a set of principles, and to follow the guidance of those resources without reservation. This was my first choice for a book, and then as I chose the book, and I hadn't read it, and as I started to read it, I thought, it really does, although it's 12 steps for everyone, they refer back to being in the program a lot, and so I thought that's probably not necessarily the book that you want to buy unless you are in a 12-step program. Then I found this book, which I love, Recovery, Freedom for Our Addictions by Russell Brand. Is there anybody here who does not know Russell Brand, who he is? Okay, if you don't know who Russell Brand is and you have trouble with salty language, do not buy this book. His third step is, are you on your own going to unmess yourself up? That is not exactly how he says it. It's how I choose to say it on Sunday mornings. So that's his third step. And then the book I would recommend for all of you, and it's the book that we're using this month, and it is not yet, but it will be in the Life Abundant bookstore. And it's a new thought journey through the 12 steps. It was written by a Science of Mind minister, and her name is Karen Lindsay. I will tell you I'm using 2 other books, and I just didn't want to overwhelm you or spend the rest of the morning reading you how everybody interprets the third step. But she says, became willing to expand our concept of spirit so that we feel connected to it and safe with it. So the principle for the third step is faith. To put our trust in something greater than our finite, limited self, a strong or unshakable belief in something. Ernest Holmes says faith is a mental attitude which is so convinced of its own idea, which so completely accepts it, that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. So how many think you have faith? I love that some of you aren't sure, or maybe you just don't, and that's okay. So how do we garner faith in our life? How do we turn our life and our beingness over to something we can't see, we can't really feel? If we grew up, we were told it was something sitting in the sky that was going to judge us. I sit here and tell you that you're God-informed, so it's only saying yes to you all the time. So the first thing is to really create peace of mind. And you may ask, well, how do I do that? So there's 2 kinds of things that go on in our mind when we are not in the present moment. One is we are constantly rerunning everything that we have done not correctly, let's put it that way. Stuff we like to beat ourselves up about. Constantly rerunning it in our mind, telling ourselves, wow, I shouldn't have done that, wish I hadn't done that, whatever. Or the second one is we are blaming and shaming everybody around us who has ever done anything as far as we're considered to us. So for the first one, how do we stop the committee in our head about ourselves? And I was given this great gift because when I first found this philosophy, my committee was really busy all the time. It was never quiet. And at first I thought, I'll just ignore it. I will just pretend that I'm not hearing the committee and what they are saying is false information. And then a practitioner reminded me, Gayle, remember, what you resist persists. And I was like, well, dang, that's not helpful. And she gave me a tool, which I'm going to share with you. Her name is Morgan Rain. And the tool was to call that remembrance forward. and absolutely say to it, yep, you are absolutely right. That was me. I did that. Wow. And then this is from Esther Hicks. And then you call forth a remembrance of today and say, you know what? I'm not that person anymore. And thank you for letting me remember who I was so I can look at who I am and go, wow, I have really grown. And then what I would do is I would take that memory and I would wrap it in white light. And I would say, thank you, Spirit. And if I never have to revisit this memory again in my life, I will be happy. And if you think I should revisit it, bring it back and tell me why. And then I would do this and blow it back. And I will tell you, it works. Because I don't have much of a monkey mind anymore. Not a way back monkey mind. I get monkey mind of things that are currently happening, usually about other people. Not that I don't have some stuff that, whatever. So the practice with other people is very similar to a Tonglen exercise, meditation. And so if you are wrapped up in your head talking about another person, how they have done you wrong or whatever they have done, however you word that you really are upset with how you've been treated or what they've said to you. And this one is not easy. Not that the last one was, but this one's not easy. You call them forth in front of your life or in front of your vision. You picture them sitting in front of you and you breathe in all of their pain. Because here is the truth. If that person was not in pain, that person couldn't be or treat you negatively. There would be no ill will if that person was filled with love. You breathe in their pain and you send them love. And you breathe in their pain and you send them love. And you do that until you can let them go. Because remember, we are here and we are made of love. So when any of us acts contrary to that, we are not being true to who we are and to our own being. And so if somebody has quote unquote done you wrong, first of all, that's your perception of what they've done. So this exercise is actually for both of you, right? Because maybe as you breathe in your perceived pain of what this person must have been going through to treat you that way, maybe there'll be some enlightenment about how did I attract that to me? Because remember, we are responsible for our reality. Every single one of us. And then the next step on faith is to appreciate life. And this, for, my life right now, I will tell you, is fantastic. So for me to appreciate life, really easy. And yet I know for some people out there, their life is not fantastic right now. And yet I would still have the same conversation with them, because if we truly believe what we teach here, if we really do believe that we are creating our reality all the time with our thoughts, what we say, how we speak, then yes, prayer is great. You set that intention. You wait for the hows, you do the work, that's great. However, if you're setting your intention and then you're telling the universe how to do it, or you're then telling everybody in the universe 5 minutes later how crappy your life is, the universe is going to be a little confused, right? Now, I am not saying that if stuff is going on with you, that you don't recognize it, because it is the truth. However, I highly recommend, if you have a lot of stuff going on with you, you should be seeing a practitioner or a minister on a regular basis, so they can pray you up, so you can face the day and know this day doesn't, your past, whatever created the situation you are in right now, does not define who you are. Your thoughts define who you are. And if you continue to live in the place that created what is going on in your life now, it will never end. It will never end. That is the gift and the curse, I guess, of this philosophy, is to recognize, wow, if I wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know, God, I've been struggling. And so what I know right here and right now is I am going to give up struggle. And I want or absolutely know that from this day forward, you're going to provide me the house on a way, on a path and a way out of that struggle. And throughout the day, whenever you get caught up in the thought of struggle, have a mantra. Diane Harmony in 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life gave a mantra that I use all the time. And I guess I remember it because we had to repeat it for 100 times a day throughout the course. And the course was 8 weeks long. And it's, I surrender to the power and presence of God within me. Every time you struggle, every time you start to live in what has gone on, I surrender to the power and presence of God within me. It is powerful to know that truth, to own that you get to choose every single day when you wake up. Am I going to recreate yesterday, or is this truly a brand new baby day? Nobody gets to pick that for you. You get to choose that. And so the third step, choose joy. And some people are like, yeah, well, how do I do that? How many of you watch the news more than an hour a day? None? Okay, yeah. I was like, seriously, come on. I dislike my husband's cell phone because my husband didn't watch the news and still doesn't watch the news. However, he now, anytime there is a break, he picks up his cell phone and then he tells me what is going on that he disagrees with in the world. And I'm literally, I think, going to start treating him like a child. I'm going to take your cell phone away from you. Yeah. And the problem is, as you know, with cell phones, those news feeds pop up all the time. You know, it's like, I don't want to look at that. So choose joy. And one of the ways to do that is, the news is, they are telling you things that are outside the norm. And some people will argue back, I have to watch the news. I have to know what's going on in the world. Trust me, if there's anything really important going on in the world, you will find out. You will find out, I promise you. However, if you are listening to the news, I don't care what channel it is, left, right, down the middle, I don't care. If you are listening to the news all the time, you are being, in my opinion, filled up with negative energy. They are blasting you constantly about what is wrong with the world. Some of them do it in a soft voice. Some of them are screaming at you. It doesn't matter. Take a break. I invite you this week, for those of you that had the courage to raise your hand, I invite you this week, don't watch, listen, or read the news for one entire week. Okay, maybe one entire day. I saw shock on some people's face. I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. 24 hours. Give yourself 24 hours. You know, in the 12-step program, they say one day at a time. Do it for 24 hours. When you wake up the next day, say, I bet I could do that again. And see how many days in a row you can do it, and watch how you give yourself a space to breathe. You absolutely give yourself space to breathe. And I am guilty. I don't listen to the news, but I've got Google News or Bing News that shows up on my computer every morning when I walk in, and I look at all the pictures. Oh, that picture looks good. I wonder what that's all about. And then I click on it. And then it's the rabbit hole, right? It's like, I don't even know what that's about, but let's go find out. And so to wake up, joy is a choice, or happiness is a choice. We talked about this in our care circle groups, the difference between joy and human happiness. And what we decided in our care circle was that joy is something that is innate. You know, that's that spirit within you. Human happiness is an emotion that is fleeting. Joy is always there. It's waiting to be revealed. And you get to choose. Every single moment of every single day, you get to choose. Am I going to be joyful? And how is that joy going to look in my life? Or what is that joy going to look like in my life? And then another step is be the creation of love in the world. How many of you, and I know some of you are new, so it's okay if you don't raise your hand, how many of you actually totally believe the philosophy we teach here, that each one of us is God-informed? How many of you believe that God has no opposites? That God is only love. Only love. And so here's the thing about only love. And it lives within you. It is bubbling up, wanting to be expressed all the time. So to remind yourself all the time, I get to choose to be love in the world. I get to choose to emanate that energy out into the world. I get to, instead of responding with my mind, I'm going to respond with my heart. And that takes practice. We're human. I think we all are human. Yeah? Everybody? Okay, good. Each one of us, every single one of us, when we get into our human selves, we get into that fight or flight. And the thing that you need to remember is, if I'm God-informed and I'm the essence of love in my life, how can I choose not to respond with fight or flight? And stand, and remember what Gary Simmons said, stand and be that eye of the storm. Stand and absolutely know that because of me, and when I say me, I'm talking for each one of you, because of me, this world is a better place. Because I absolutely believe each one of you is as important to the fabric of God as it is to your fabric. You can't exist. It's all of you. And even though each one of us is just a nano pinch of what it is, because it's infinite, it can't exist without us. It can't. We're part of it. To remind ourselves of that every day, we can shift the consciousness of the world if we each practice that. Remembering that we're love, being love, choosing in a breath not to gossip. Choosing in a breath, if somebody pushes a button, not to respond. Choosing in a breath to allow the chaos to not be the truth of who I am. To truly, I go back to that book all the time because I really love it, to truly be the eye of the storm. And the reason I love that book is because what I got out of it was, I used to think, when I would say, I want patience in my life, I used to think then my ego would say, oh, truly, you want patience in your life? Let me give you opportunities where there is no patience. Let's see how you respond. I thought it was my ego fighting me, because I think that's how I learned it. And Gary Simmons says, it's not your ego. It's your soul. It is your soul that is saying, oh, you want patience? Yay. I am ready now to show you how to create patience in your life. I'm going to give you opportunities now to shift the consciousness that you've been carrying with you that has been impatient with people, places, and things. And when I look at it that way, it gives me goosebumps. Because I believe our souls, our spirits, our consciousness is ever expanding. So when I say, this is my word for this year. I have a friend, that was her word last year. She didn't claim it this year. She had opportunities to practice patience more than she thought was necessary. And yet I believe this year she is a more patient person than she was last year. That she's living, breathing proof that that was her soul's intent. That that was the word she claimed, and the universe gave her an opportunity to shift how she was in the world. Is she perfect at patience? No, I hope not. I don't think any of us, Reverend Susie used to say, Reverend Susie was my first minister in this philosophy, and she used to say to the community all the time, if I get perfect at all of this, poof, my work here is done, and I would be gone. So just so you know, as long as you're breathing, living organisms occupying this human body, you are going to get an opportunity to practice something or everything. And we should revel in that. So those are some of the ways to experience faith. And I before we pray, I want to close with a quote by Mother Teresa. The fruit of silence is prayer. The fruit of prayer is faith. The fruit of faith is love. The fruit of love is service. And the fruit of service is peace. I'll post that on Genesis Family because people were trying to write very fast. And so just remember, it came full circle to that peace of mind. Remember that you create the energy that is your reality on this plane. And you get to choose because you're responsible for what you think and how you feel. Nobody else. So let's just breathe in. And if you choose, you can close your eyes. And just feel that energy, that container of love that our vigil practitioners have created in this room. Sometimes it's good if you hold your hands apart and then slowly bring them together. You can actually feel energy. And that is the continuum that we live in. We are all energetic beings. We are all part of that great thing itself that I choose to call God, that is known by many, many different names and sometimes is known by no name at all. It is that power, that presence, that one thing itself that lives and breathes and has its existence in and through and as each and every one of us. So what I know right here and right now as I speak my word for myself, I know this for each of you, that you are love. That you are that essence of peace at the very core of who you are. That you are here for the opportunities to reveal to yourself how magnificent you really are. There is no mistake in your being here. You are absolutely here by the choice, by that commitment, by that agreement that you have made with that one power, that one presence. And so I invite each and every one of you to live from that place of knowingness, of connection. That you choose to stand in the power and the presence of God as you and say, yes, I am love. Yes, I am peace. Yes, I am that which always has been, always will be, and is as me right here, right now. And so I give thanks for this opportunity to express to the divine that big yes on behalf of us all. I give thanks for knowing that when we stumble, we get up. And I give thanks for knowing that today we set as a community that place within ourselves that says, I will be true to who I am. I will express loving kindness to the world. And I will know without a doubt that I am God in form. I turn all of these words over knowing as it is spoken, it is done. The universe has said yes. And in that yes, there is a rejoicing of God itself, all the masters, all the angels, all those things that we cannot see and yet we feel. They are dancing and singing our praise as we let go and let God. And together we say, and so it is.